So welcome everyone. My name is Tom Zielinski, class of 2004, and I am a member of the College Alumni Association Board and Vice Chair of the Affinity Groups Committee. So today I am delighted to be able to present the final of our 4 awards to Kathleen Finley Vandiver for her achievement in the sciences. The Achievement in the Sciences Award recognizes alumni who, through exceptional and sustained success in the field of natural or quantitative sciences, outstanding character, and loyalty to Drew, have most personified the basic ideals of the university. So I'm going to share a little bit about Kathleen, but there's going to be much more to read at the link that's going to be pasted in the chat, I think by Carol. So Kathleen has said that her 2 most influential professors at Drew were Dr. Joy Phillips for anatomy and embryology and Dr. Harold Roars for physiology. After some time working at a startup company in Massachusetts on a project developing an optical cell sorter instrument, which I would like to hear more about at some point, Kathy learned that a PhD was necessary if one wanted to be in the lead and win grants. She funded her PhD studies in cell biology at Tufts Medical School by instructing medical students in the anatomy lab, and then she earned her PhD with research in cellular biology studying cells and the immune system. Afterwards, Kathy didn't go back to working at another R&D company, but was beginning to get interested in teaching. At that time, the Harvard Graduate School of Education had a program designed for retooling scientists into science teachers, so she attended while working part-time. With a master's in science education at the age of 40, she decided that 6th grade was the most important grade to teach, not high school. So 16 years later, working at a public school where education innovation was supported, Kathy was very glad she made the move to teaching. It was extremely rewarding. She also received a Lifetime Achievement Award by being inducted into the Massachusetts Science Educators Hall of Fame by the Massachusetts Association of Science Teachers on November 2011. Perhaps surprisingly, teaching 6th grade science helped qualify her for her next career, working at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. Here, being able to explain complex scientific information in an understandable way was a requirement for the position of Community Engagement Core Director for the Center of Environmental Health Sciences. This center is a collection of researchers studying how the environment affects human health. For example, some chemicals from the environment can get stuck on a cell's DNA, damaging the DNA. To help explain these concepts, she created tactile educational models to show both what molecules look like and how these molecules function. The audience for these patented hands-on models includes secondary school and collegiate classes. And for middle school and for informal science learning, she has also created a way to model the chemistry of climate change, which we all know is a change that will profoundly impact human health. Congratulations, Kathy.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. That you're one of the hosts as well. So it's really a wonderful honor to receive this recognition from Drew. I really want to thank Drew University for taking the time and commitment to recognize postgraduates. And I know it takes a real commitment every year to do this, so I really appreciate it. And I also put behind me, as you can see, the award itself. It's really very lovely, and I would like to thank people for that gift as well. I think that's really special. You know, when you receive an award like this, you do tend to do a little bit of reflection and think a little bit more about things. And I remember when I was a high school student, I was always very envious of my sister Christine, because she knew exactly what she wanted to do. She wanted to be a nurse, and she went right through, and it was, for me, I had no clue what I wanted to do when I went to college. So I really look back on thinking about all the opportunities I had, and also the opportunities to explore different careers. And I appreciated so much my family's support in all these endeavors, and also my friends as well. So I want to close by saying I'm really very glad that some of them are here today, and I appreciate their support now too. So that concludes my remarks, really. Thank you.
You explained that you didn't have any clue. So between the day you walked in the door at Drew and the day you walked out the door at Drew, what changed? So when you left Drew, what was your idea of what you wanted to do? Knowing now, looking back, that these ideas change, or, 5 years later, it could be something else. But what was your thoughts? What were your thoughts after graduation day?
Well, I think people always like to stick with something that comes easy for them. Learning is so easy and so enjoyable. So I really found that the sciences were really it for me. And I just, so that I went on to a graduate school program, which I ended up at BU, and I found it didn't suit me quite well. So I didn't finish a PhD. I finished with a master's there, and then went on to that startup company, which was engaging because it was a really new area too. So that was fun. Yeah. I don't know how everybody else chooses what they do, but
Your major at Drew was?
zoology.
Yeah.
You had to choose right away because you either had to go botany or zoology. And I was really very lucky because I did take one botany course. And the reason why I'm telling everybody I was very lucky was because when I went for my teacher's certification, there was a very strict person who was checking my transcript from Drew. And she said, I don't know if I can certify you in biology. I only see that you did a zoology thing. No, I can't certify you in biology. And I said, I did take one botany course. And they finally said, oh, okay, then you're qualified. Because it was all hung on taking that botany course with whether or not I got my certification in teaching biology. So from the state of Massachusetts, but I really enjoyed a lot the teacher program at Harvard because my colleagues were also all scientists and engineers, and so it was really very interesting experience to learn things in such a setting, because a lot of our scientists were really amazed to think that you could have essays and things like that, and that would be called data. So there were all sorts of new respect that we had for education and how what I learned was mostly that most people just think that people learn like they do. And it's I think the Harvard School of Ed did a great job in giving us labs all the time where we had to take a particular problem and have 3 people show the different ways that they solved a problem. And you saw brains working in many different ways. And it was very, very helpful to realize that you had to do it by multiple modes because different people had different ways of thinking and different approaches, totally different ways of approaches. I don't know if anybody else has had that experience where you're shocked by some way somebody suddenly does approach it. So one of the things that life at MIT has been really very interesting because it's allowed me to be very diverse in many of the things I've been doing. So I've had a chance to a lot of work was done on our kitchen table for these patented teaching tools, DNA and proteins, and a whole new approach to teaching of them. And that is to make models that are functional. Most people just make a model and it's like a statue and you just look at where the atoms are and there's nothing much you can say or do about it after you memorize where it is or whatever. So the harder thing to teach, I always learned, was processes, not structure in biology. So the molecules are made for showing structure and doing a lot of hands-on work. So I must admit that it was very enjoyable to do a lot of the design work for the molds, actually, with my husband, Kim Vandiver, who happens to be an engineer. So this is a biology engineer duo for getting the models actually produced, because he had to figure out how to make the models for the pieces, so to make them so they all worked really well. So, and when I just want to give lots of credit to my kids, because it turns out when I was a teacher at Diamond Middle School, Alex was just getting into 6th grade. And so I used to try out all the lessons on him beforehand, all the hands-on things. So that was enormous family fun. And there are lots of ways in which my family participated in a big way for being guinea pigs on lessons and also being collaborators and And Amy Vandiver, who's not here, also used to help me a great deal when we used to try to reenact things like solar systems. So basically in 6th grade, the kids had to learn a lot of different sciences. And I appreciated so much being able to learn so many different sciences, because I've been so focused. You know, when you get into a PhD and all that, you're getting really way off track from what most other people know or need to know. And so 6th grade took me back to the fact where I could learn how to identify plants all the way, because we did plant projects. We did also, I mean, it was so enjoyable learning for me too. I really loved that a lot. And so I appreciate that kind of experience of having shared learning with my family, for sure. That was really good.